My first big break. You don't have to wait for that really big story to come along. I mean, I could tell you about something from Katrina or something from Hugo or something from a war. But I think what happened when I first got to Orlando was probably good for me in hindsight. When I got down there, what I noticed was everyone had a damn animal. Everyone had an animal. So I had finished at Ole Miss, didn't graduate, got a job, got out, went to work, and I was like 6 hours short, 2 credits. Mom, I'll eventually get it done. It's not important. I went to Panama City, where thankfully Joe Moore was kind enough to give me a job that lasted 365 days. Then I went to Fort Myers for a couple years, 3 years, something like that. And I'd been reporting and doing a little bit of weekend anchoring, and it was abundantly clear to me, and I don't mean this harshly, everything is subjective, they didn't like me there. They didn't, and I liked them, they didn't like me. It was time to move on. I couldn't get a job. Nobody would hire me. And finally, George Teal at WCPX in Orlando, a station with $34 for quarterly operating expenses, he said they would hire me. I don't think they had hired a new reporter in years, seriously. So George Teal says, I'll give you a try, but we need you to work all the time on all the programs, and we need packages and live shots, and just keep working, please, because there are only like 4 reporters in the building. So they had to hire somebody. So they gave me this job from Fort Myers. And I think we put everything we had in the back of a U-Haul truck and put the dog and the cat in the front of it. Off my wife and I went to Orlando, and it was, times were tough. It was WCPX then. It's WKMG now. It's the CBS station in Orlando. And I don't think anybody who was involved in the process at the time would mind me saying it was kind of a dump. We didn't have any money, but we worked hard, and people kind of made fun of us on stories, but we had a really good time, and we worked very hard, and we had great journalists there, and they're better now, and I'm proud of them and proud to have worked there. Well, when I got there, the big story going down was going to be the imploding of the Orlando City Hall. The whole thing was a lethal weapon. They were going to shoot the movie, and they needed an explosion. Obviously, Lethal Weapon needed an explosion.
Cameras are rolling in downtown Orlando, and all eyes are trained on the stars of Lethal Weapon 3. Newsnight 6 reporter Shepard Smith is on the sidelines, watching it all go down.
Wall-to-wall, Team Central Florida breaking news coverage. All the stations were doing live coverage of the imploding of City Hall. People were everywhere. You could see it from everywhere. I think Channel 2 had Aqua Camera 2, so they could watch it from a boat. As an outsider coming in, it looked really stupid to me. Like you're blowing up a building and we're doing live team coverage of Smotherage and Storm Alert 99 or whatever the hell it was. The whole city's gonna come out and watch it? Seriously? I mean, when I was in Holly Springs, we used to go to Fitch's Amico and drink beers. In Orlando, they go watch buildings blow up. But they did, and we did it for hours. But like I said, I didn't have an assignment. So I'm like, I'm gonna go down there and try to just observe something and put a story together on something. What your producer wants you to do, or your assignment editor, whatever, they want you to go, okay, I'm going out here and here's the story I'm going to bring you, so that they can write teases for it, so that when they go to their meeting, they can say, well, here's what little Shep is doing today. Well, I didn't know what I was gonna be doing. Didn't like that. Nobody likes that. Managers like to have control. They like to know what's happening. They want to know what you're coming back with. If you come back with something that wasn't exactly like you said it was going to be, there's some cocked heads and such like that. Managers. They have to be managers now. When I got down there, what I noticed was everyone had a damn animal. Everyone had an animal. First of all, thousands of people have gone to watch a building implode, and I'd say like all of them had brought an animal of some kind. I mean, dogs on leashes running around. There were random fights. The little dog with the big dog, kids crying over the dogs. Kids shouldn't have been out that late anyway. These dogs were everywhere, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do with them. I remember I put music to them. I gave them a narrative, I think. So I just watched them and took pictures of them and got back to the edit bay and tried to figure out then, all right, what can I do with this? People in my station made a little bit of fun of me. And then the next day in the newspaper, Hal Boddicker from the Orlando Sentinel wrote about it. And they were like, the new guy did the story on the animals. And Channel 6 got favorable press over the stupid story that Shep did from the dogs. We didn't have a lot of money and we didn't have a lot of resources, and we had to really think out of the box. When I tell you Channel 9 had 4 reporters to every one we have, I'm not exaggerating. But just because you're at the dog station in a good market doesn't mean that you can't have a good idea and get noticed. What is it they say, KPT? kids and pets and other things to make television work, and pets and kids were right there and available, so why not just capitalize on that? I know things were a lot simpler then. It was a world before YouTube. It was easier to make an impact, but you never know what the story is going to be that's going to make an impact on people. And people talked about that to me for years. Oh yeah, you were the new guy. You were the one who did the story about the animals when they were blowing up City Hall. So I thought Channel 6, as bad as it was and under the most terrible circumstances, maybe for the corporation at least, it was great for me. I loved the Orlando experience, and it got great stories together for my tape. Don't ever think you have to have the biggest story in the world. You don't have to parachute into Lebanon for a war. A hurricane doesn't have to destroy your market. You get noticed every single day by the work that you do day in and day out. And if you can, I think, if you can teach the viewers, I'm here for you when it's serious, I'm a good study, and I'm going to try very hard not to lead you astray. But when things are a little lighter, we're not going to pretend they're serious all the time. We're going to have a little fun with you when time permits. Because if all we do is bring gloom and doom, tonight's murder and tonight's axe murder and tonight's car wreck and tomorrow's fear of Al-Qaeda, if that's all we do, I don't feel like they're going to want to deal with us that much. We ought to be able to offer them something, some degree of hope, some degree of happiness, something funny. And we ought to be able to make fun of ourselves for them as well. Because I think that's what regular people do every day. And the person inside the box ought to not be so weird that some of that doesn't happen.